Alright guys, I'm not sure how long this is going to be, because when you mess with these Colts and you change one thing to fix it, you change 2 or 3 more things. So if it don't take too long, I'm going to post this video. I guess if it takes too long, I probably won't, or probably try to cut it down, condense it. Anyway, this is a friend of mine's gun, and the problem he's got with it is the cylinder, even though it stops, right? So it stops. When you let off the trigger, you can roll the cylinder back. Now it won't stay in there. And by looking at it, when it comes out, it looks like it's just not moving up, engaging the notches on the cylinder very deep. So we're gonna pull the side plate off of it and see. I mean, I know about where it's going to be stopping at. I gotta make sure that that's what's actually stopping it. But on this cylinder stop here, it'll be hitting the underside of this frame, if in fact that's what's stopping it, which usually it is. And basically we'll go in there, we'll relieve some of that so that it can engage the cylinder deeper. Now when we do that, it's probably going to change the timing on when it comes out of the cylinder. So we may have to tweak the cylinder stop, or the, I forgot the name of the part now. Shit. The cylinder stop, or the, damn. Anyway, I'll tell you the part while I'm trying to think of the name of the part, and show you what it is. Rebound lever, I think is what it's called, right here. This rebound lever right here controls when it picks up on the cylinder stop to start operating it, pulling it down and get it out of the cylinder. So we'll take this thing apart and see what we got. Okay, so I'm looking down in there and I can see right through here that the cylinder stop is hitting the frame, so it just can't come up far enough to get in there deep enough to stop it from rolling backwards. See if I can get you in here. See it right there. If you look right here, this is your cylinder stop right here, and it's hitting the frame. That limits how far up it can move to engage the cylinder. So what we're going to do is pull it out. We're going to relieve that down, probably, we'll start with 10 thousandths and see if that stops it from rolling back. And we may need more or less, depending. Anyway, we'll get that fixed, and then we'll see if we have to bend that and or adjust the rebound lever to speed up the timing of pulling it back out. I don't have a whole lot of experience with these Colts, but so I may make some mistakes in terminology and or what it's going to do. I just don't work on them enough. I mean, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not greatly experienced at it, which is invaluable in gunsmithing. If you can get experienced on stuff, you're going to be way better with it than anything else, than not. But if I'm not mistaken in my train of thought, that when we move this up deeper, it's going to slow down the action of it coming out, which means it may not come down fast enough before the cylinder starts to rotate. And if that's the case, then we have to take a look at the parts and see, because it's been a long time since I worked on one of these, but to see where we want to go about tweaking, bending, adjusting, whatever we got to do to get it to pull it back out in time for the cylinder to start rotating. Because you have a timing, back this up just a little bit, you have a timing that you got to be concerned with. I mean, everything in a revolver, everything is timing and sequences and all this stuff, but you have timing of when you start to cock this hammer and everything starts to rotate, that this ball's got to get out of there before the cylinder starts to rotate. Alright. So, now you know where we're at with this. Let's go ahead and start taking some stuff apart. Back you back out of here. And let me know if this straight down view is a problem with things being backwards. If it is, I'll try to come up with another way. I shouldn't have knocked that out first. Another way of filming this stuff. Stick that in there. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing here. Just take this screw out and pull this whole cylinder stop out. Hopefully without it flying across the room. Just like so. Okay, so, alright, sorry about that, I got interrupted again. So first thing is first, let's see. I'll take that cylinder out, let's see how this thing fits here. Alright, sorry, I got interrupted again. Maybe we can get through this thing here. Alright, so we can see, I'll get you in here. Back it up just a little bit. See if we can get that. Yeah. See that mark right there? That's where it's hitting in the frame. Now what we're going to do, get out here some, is I'm going to measure when it's sitting right at the edge, roughly how deep that is. Coming up with 165. And put it all the way down in there. $140. Yeah, 140. So we got 15 thousandths. Get out of here. Well, actually 25 thousandths. And we don't want to engage all of that. Probably 15-ish. We'll shoot for 10 at first. So what we're going to do, again, in gunsmithing, I see a lot of times too often that people will just start filing away at stuff. And although sometimes that works, you miss a lot. So what we want to do is try to eliminate a lot of that back and forth, back and forth. So we know we want to take it about 10 thousandths up. With this being as close as it is here, whatever I take off here is going to move this ball up pretty much that much. And obviously if I had to take it off back here, you know, the ratio would change. So back here, taking off, you know, say 2 thousandths may move this up, you know, 7 or 8 thousandths, whatever the ratio is. Which you can basically take the length of that and divide that, you know. I'm not going to get into all that, but you can either guess at it or you can mathematically figure roughly how much a thousandths here will move this up. So with it hitting here, we're going to take about 10 thousandths off, which should move this up about 10 thousandths. So we're going to measure here first to see what we got, and we're going to write that down. And we've got 96 thousandths. Let me get a pen and write that down. Okay. So we got 0.096. So we want to take 10 thousandths off of that, so we want to be at 0.086. Now, I'm not going to keep moving the camera around and all that, but basically what I'm going to do is go set this in the vise, and I'm going to file here till we get about 10 thousandths removed. Alright. So, get you in here, you'll see that this back it up a little bit. Okay, so you'll see now that our mark is gone where I filed that there. Try to turn it so you can see it. See, there's no mark there. So let's measure back, see what we got. Okay, so we was at 96 and we're at 84. Okay, so we actually took 12 thousandths off. That's fine. So now we'll put it back in there without the spring in it. If I can find my screw, and we'll see. Spring out of there, and we'll see what we did, if it's enough to do what we had to do. Okay. Alright, that's pretty close. It's still wanting to try to cam its way out of there, and that's because of how bad condition these cylinders are in. If we put a good bit of leverage here, find that up, you see it don't want to back out of it. It tries to a little bit, so we're going to take it all the way to the bottom, I guess. We went 12, we're going to go ahead and go 3 more, which should be roughly the depth of the cylinder notch, and should get us about where we want to be. So we're going to take about 3 more thousandths off. We're at, depending on how hard you push it, 80, 84, 85. We'll call it 85. So we want to go back to about 82. Be right back. Alright. Let's see where we're at. We're a little bit too far. We're at 80. So that should almost get us to full depth of the notch. Let's stick this thing back in here, see what we got. Now let's stick our lock in here so it can't pivot out. Alright, now with moderate finger pressure, that's holding it from rocking back and forth. So we got that done. Now we can put it back together and see. I think we're probably not going to pick up on it, which means we may have to straighten out the rebound lever. And for any of you guys who don't know, alright, on the rebound lever here, right here's where it picks up on that. It rides right up this shelf and then pops off, over and off, or off. Okay, so with this setting in here, if you can see the length here, if it don't pick up fast enough, then what we'll do is straighten this out, which will put this at a higher arc, and it'll come in contact with it sooner. And then hopefully, because somebody's already been filing on this, so hopefully they haven't went too far that we can't make this work without buying another part. But we'll have to get it together and see where we stand with that. And in the interest of keeping this short, I'll come back to you when we got her back together. Alright, before we get this all back together, I got the spring in there. As you can see here, I'm gonna go ahead and stick this rebound lever in here and try to show you what I'm talking about. I don't know how well this is gonna play out. Okay. So basically, yeah, we're missing it completely. Let's see if I can get you in here to this. Okay, so here's the rebound lever. You see how it hits that and picks up on it, and it lets your cylinder rotate. Okay, so it's a little bit too short, so what we got to do is lengthen this. I can already tell that now, and I don't even know where the timing is going to be exactly. Get picked up on there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and straighten this rebound lever now before we even get started. I would just put it together and show you that it's not going to work, but you just have to take my word for that. Just trying to save some time. So let me straighten this rebound lever out and I'll be back with you. Alright, I got her straightened some, not very much, and we're going to see what that'll do. So I'm going to get it all put back together and I'll be back with you. Alright, so here we are back together. A moment of truth. Is it going to work? Is it not? Probably not, but we'll see. Uh-oh. And the cylinder is locked in place. Now that went way better than usually what happens, and for anyone trying to work on these things, I highly recommend that you learn this gun. And you're still going to need experience, of course, but that you learn how this gun operates before you start working on it. Smith & Wessons are a cakewalk. They're amateur hour compared to this gun. This gun, everything in it relates to everything else in it. And like I said, once we moved this up, there was no way that it was going to work without adjusting the rebound lever to accommodate that. Now, if you didn't know that, you would have moved it up and it wouldn't have came out so the cylinder could rotate. You would cut some off the top of the cylinder. I meant the bolt or the cylinder stop, whatever you want to call it. I think on I think it's a cylinder. It's a bolt on a Colt, I believe. Cylinder stop on a Smith & Wesson. Anyway, whatever you want to phrase it as, we'll call it the bolt because this is a Colt. Where was I at with that? Okay, so you raise it up to get it to quit rolling backwards, and then now it won't come out. So you think, well, what do I need to do for that? Now, most people would probably cut some off the top of the bolt, cylinder stop, bolt / cylinder stop. But in this case, even that wouldn't have worked anyway, because when I moved it up and that pivot point pivoted it so far forward that this wouldn't even pick up on it at all. It was barely nick it when it was trying to come up to lift it, to pivot it down out of the way. It was barely nicking it. So even if you would have cut some off the top, it still wouldn't have come out in time. But you can see we're locked up. Okay. Timing is just about perfect. It's locked in. Now, another thing you'll get too, because I got this from a buddy of mine, and he's I think he's certified through Colorado School of Trades, and he's got an Anaconda, I believe, or Python, I'm not sure. Basically the same gun, but anyway, his timing is slow, so when he cocks the hammer, it will still rotate a little bit before it goes into time, which is not a problem on a Colt, because when you pull the trigger, it locks it up even tighter because it's got two fingers on the or two hooks on the finger. On a Smith & Wesson, that's a big problem. Anyway, so he calls Colt. We was talking about it one day, and he's telling me that Colt says it's okay if it don't time with the hammer, as long as it times when you pull the trigger. And technically, I don't know what them folks at Colt are doing now, but according to Bob Dunlap, that's not exactly right. If I'm not mistaken, it's still supposed to time up with just cocking the hammer back. If it don't, it's a little bit slow. You need to adjust, adjust the hand for that, which is what rotates the cylinder. So we'll get down here and take a look at this bolt now. See if I can keep this in frame. I'll get it to focus. Okay. So we got it in here. And you can see, just clears it perfect right before the cylinder rotates. Snaps back up right before the hammer falls to full cock. You hear that? It's in. Now the hammer, listen for the hammer. There you go. So that's how the timing on this should work. Now if you got slow timing on cock, it's still okay, because when you pull the trigger, it's going to rotate the cylinder even further. Let me give you a picture of that. Okay, I got the hammer cock. Now it's locked in, but watch as I pull the trigger. I'm not pulling the hammer, I'm pulling the trigger, but I'm going to hold the hammer from falling. Watch that cylinder. Can't see it. It's probably just about perfect. That's why it ain't going to roll anymore. Well, let's say alright, I can slow it down a little bit if I put a little pressure on it. Alright, it's locked in. Now that time it locked. It's locked. I ain't gonna mess with that. Anyway, so when you pull the trigger, it rotates the cylinder just a little bit more because it raises the hand up even more, because you have two levers on your hand. So all in all, that's how you fix the rollback of the Colt, and basically it'll be similar, almost the same thing on the Smith & Wesson or some of the other revolvers. So hope you got something out of that. Again, before you start messing with one of these, make sure you understand the gun. If you don't, you will get into big trouble with it. And the bad thing about that is there's not a whole lot of gunsmiths around anymore who are old-time guys who know these systems in this gun. At least in my area, there ain't a whole lot of, there's no one in this area that and I'm not tooting my own horn, no one in this area that I would trust to work on one of these besides me. And as I told you from the beginning, I'm still a little bit lacking in experience. I don't work on a whole lot of them, but I know the system, so therefore I can fix it. I hadn't had a problem yet on them that I couldn't fix, but that's not to say that one won't stump me, you know, in the future. So, any of you revolver guys or Colt guys out there, maybe you got something out of this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.